create user stories within a feature. So we're gonna pull that over to in progress, and let's take a look. All right. So this is where things are gonna get a little bit trickier in our project, all right, in terms of our UI, because we're opening up a modal when we click on one of the features, okay? So we're pretty much going to set up this thing first, right? We wanna open up a modal when I click on a feature box. So let's go to project A. Oh, we gotta sign in. Submit. Okay, let's go to project A. All right, and that is where we have 2 features. Okay, so we want to be able to click on this feature box, right? Nothing's happening. I'm clicking now. We want to click on it and a modal opens. So I'm going to open Chakra UI, and then I'm going to go to modal. All right. So now here is a modal. All right, let's go and look to see if there's anything we like. Oh, that's kind of fun. Okay, that's focus. All right, trigger modal. What's trigger mode? Make it vertically aligned. Okay. Actually does seem like we want it vertically aligned. So that's probably good. Okay, so ooh. Interesting. Okay. So let's go ahead and copy this here. All right, and then I am going to go to my front end, and I'm going to create a folder for features. I'm actually going to move my create feature accordion into that. Let's go ahead and see where we're airing now. Okay, I can get rid of my sample feature object. All right, the next thing that I am going to do then is also within the features folder for components, I am going to create a feature modal.tsx. So then I'm going to say const feature modal. All right, and then I'm going to edit it. And then I'm going to export default feature modal. Then let's go ahead and import all the things that we are missing. Okay. And then I can just go ahead and do box. This is my modal body. And let's add box. Okay. So now we have a modal. All right, but the modal button is directly on the modal, so that doesn't really make sense. So we're gonna have to move some of this stuff out, okay? So the first thing that we're gonna move out is the disclosure statement. All right, because this is just going to be our modal. All right, so we want to go back to project, okay? And then we want to add our use disclosure. Okay, and then let's take a look. So this button says on click is on open. All right, so let's go ahead and find what we want to click to open. And that is going to be right here. So we're going to say on click is on open. Okay. Then we are going to want to have the modal on our page. So we're going to say feature modal. Okay, and we're going to pass in is open and on close. All right, then we have to add those as props in here. So we add is open, comma, on close, and those will be type props. So then we need to add our type props, which is going to be is open, that is a Boolean, and then on close, which is a function that takes in nothing and returns void. Okay, so now I should be able to click, and there's my modal, and there's my modal. Okay, so when I hover though over these boxes, I want to be able to see my cursor. So I'm going to return here, and I want to think as button. So now that works, but it shrank in terms of width. All right, so we need to, I'm going to do this instead. Hover, cursor is going to be pointer. All right, so now when I hover over a button, my cursor is pointer. Perfect. I click on feature K and it opens. I click on feature A and it opens. Beautiful. All right. So we created the feature modal component and make it open on click of a feature box. Check. All right, so then now let's move on to, let's make it a lot bigger, okay? So I'm gonna put it, I guess it doesn't really need to be in a component. All right, so let's go ahead and make it, width is going to be 75%. And height is going to be 75%. And I think that is why we put it inside something else. So let's go ahead and put it in a box. And width, I don't think this is gonna do anything, but let's just try. We're gonna have to look up the props for modals and see. All right. Yeah, that doesn't do anything. Okay, so let's look up size. So modal full is gonna be the whole thing. Extra large. Well, that is disappointing because full extra large is not much bigger than, is not as big as I want, but I don't want full. So I'm curious if I can do a custom. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Ooh, that's kind of cool too. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna look up custom modal size chakra UI. All right, so it looks like we can control the content inside. So let's go ahead and look into that. All right, so content, can I do width here? So I'm gonna do like 600 pixels and see what happens. All right, now let's do 2000 pixels. Doesn't look like that's doing anything. Let's do border So yeah, sometimes when you're working with a new component, it just takes a while to figure out how it works. So I can try min width. Ah, and there we have it. Okay, so it looks like if I make something inside big enough, okay, then I can make the width fit the content, okay? So let's go ahead and try size extra large first and see how big that is. All right, so that looks like this is just as big as the modal goes. Okay, so let's see what small looks like. Okay, much smaller. All right, so I think we're just going to design the modal as we need, and then we will have the content do min width. It's gonna be fit content. Okay. All right, so now let's take a look. We are going to have, this is going to be our box inside. So let's use that now and go back to our designs. Okay, so it looks like for the header, we will have our same type of thing where we have our text and then our description of a text. So I'm just going to copy this whole box here and I'm going to put it in header. So we need to add text here. Give that a try. And this is going to be feature name. And then this is going to be, this is a description of the feature. We don't have the props passed in yet. I'm just gonna kind of style it first with hard-coded data and then we'll go from there. All right, so feature name, this is a description of the feature. So that's okay, but to be honest, I don't like that it is bold. So let me see if I can make the font weight normal. Perfect, I can. Okay, that looks better. All right, and then I think the header, if I'm looking at this, okay, I think it needs to be, I actually think I'm just going to make this a box instead. I'm gonna get rid of the header and see what happens because I don't like that it's styling my header. Okay, that looks better to me. Okay, so margin bottom is 20, that's fine, but then we also are going to want to put it in a box. Like this, and then we're gonna want to do margin 10. All right, that's already looking better. Okay, next. So then we want to have user stories here, okay? That when drop down, give a description of the user story. Okay. And then we add a user story. Okay, so basically we just don't want to do the drop down or the developer tasks yet. We just want to do the boxes with user stories and then the add a user story in this one. Okay, we can do that. Okay, so then let's go and look at it. Okay, so we want inside here to have boxes with our, okay, and then we don't want to do anything on click right now. And then we want to do, just say user story 1, and then we'll do like 1 out of 10. All right, let's take a look. User story, 1 out of 10. That looks pretty good. Okay, so we want it to be further in terms of, so maybe we don't want margin X 4. All right, let's try width equals 100%. Okay. All right, I'm curious if this is part of the body. So let's take that out. Yeah, that's already helpful. Okay, and then we don't want this close button in the footer. I don't think, at least. No, because we'll just close up here. Okay, so save that. All right, already looking better. Okay, so, but we actually want to map through and have a bunch of user stories. So we're going to create some up here. And yes, okay, so let's go ahead and do const sample user stories. It's going to be an array, and we're going to have name user story 1. Let's just do user story, that's fine. And then we are going to have status 2 out of 10. All right, then let's go ahead and 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's just change these a little bit. Okay, that looks good. So then let's go ahead and map. Okay, so we want to do sample user stories dot map story. Let me say return. And we're going to return this whole thing here. All right, and then instead of user story 1, we're going to go ahead and we're going to write story dot name. And then I'm going to say space index plus 1. Perfect. And then we're going to do story dot status. All right, this looks good. Okay. Oh, all right. So it looks like we can edit the content to be percentage based because that was my concern. So now let's try to do 75%. This looks pretty good to me. And then let's do min height. I love it. It's beautiful. So close, open, close, open. Beautiful. Okay. So now we have these user stories up here. Let's add our add user story. Okay. And actually before that, let's actually put the feature name in. Okay. So we'll just say feature name and then feature description. And those are both going to be strings. Okay, so then let's head back to project. All right, and then let's put in the feature modal, what the feature name and string is. So the way that we're going to do this is we are going to change this on open and we're going to have to save the state. Okay, so we are going to make a state called const selected feature set selected feature, and we're going to do use state, and let's just say features at 0 to start out with. Okay, so then let's go ahead and pass in feature name is going to be equal to selected feature dot name, and then let's do feature description is equal to selected feature dot. Do we not have descriptions for our features? That's so silly of us. Add description string, and let's make that optional. And let's dot description. Or there is no description. All right, so I hard coded it, so it's always gonna be feature K, okay, but let's pass it in. Now let's change this. All right, so we want it, instead of feature name here, we are going to do feature name, okay? And instead of this is the description hard coded, we are going to do feature description. Awesome. And then we have our user stories, which look like buttons, but they're not. Well, they will be, but they're not yet. Okay, looks good. All right, where are we at here? All right, we created the feature and description header. User story drop-down component. We did not create that or that because we did not. We have fake user stories here, but you know what? I guess we could do it because we have the fake user stories. All right, so let's do it. All right, so we're also going to then add in here a description, and then we're going to say, this is my user story description. Let's add a comma. All right, and then let's add one of these to each one. All right, so we need to turn this box into an accordion. So let's go ahead and go back to our accordion. And this is what we're looking to do, except we want each box to be its own accordion. So I want to try to find a simple one that allows me to toggle. All right, so I'm going to just copy this whole thing. All right, and all right, I'm actually going to create now my user stories components folder, and then I'm going to say user story details accordion.tsx, and then we're going to say const user story details accordion.t or is equal to, and then let's paste in our accordion. Let's go ahead and import all missing imports, which will include box. Let's put box up here. All right, and then let's do export default user story details accordion. All right, so now we want to, I'm going to actually, on the modal, I'm going to put this below, like this, just so we can see it on the modal and start editing it, okay? So the first thing is we don't need 2 accordion items. Everyone will just be 1 accordion item, okay? The second thing, so this is already looking better. The second thing that we want is we want all of this. First of all, yeah, that already has the cursor, so we don't need to worry about that. But let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so this is the box for what we're putting in here. So we want to put this in this box. Let's import text. All right, and we are going to want to pass in name and status, and let's just pass in user story. Okay, so we're gonna say type props is equal to user story, which is equal to, we'll just deconstruct it, name, string, status, string, description, string. So name, status, description. So then this is just going to be name. This is just going to be status. And then the panel is going to be description. All right, then we need to pass that in. So we're gonna say name is equal to story name. All right, let's move this. Story name plus a space plus index plus 1. And we're going to have status is equal to story dot status. And then we're going to have description is equal to story dot description. All right, let's click on it. All right, not too shabby. So I am going to go ahead and delete what we have here. All right, so far almost so good. We have some editing to do, but we're getting there, okay? So the first thing is then that this box actually wants to go around the entire accordion item. All right, so maybe not. Maybe we want the box to come in a little bit. All right. So let's get rid of those. Looking better. I think we just want to actually just place this on the button. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so let's get rid of this box. Let's get rid of this box. Okay, so then we're going to say border is equal to 0 pixels. I do border none. what if I do board equals 1 pixel? All right, so maybe let's try moving this up. All right, let's add a box here, and we're going to want to try to add a gap. So say display flex, flex direction is column. Let's say gap is equal to 4. All right. Starting to help a little bit. All right. So we want to say display flex, justify content, space between. Okay, that's looking better. Okay, so this then is going to be in a box. Let's look at the design. So it looks like the user story is just going to be flex 1. Takes up all of the space. Text align left. Okay. Still looks like there is all right, that's better. All right, now let's take a look at the design as to when it opens. Okay, so when it opens, it looks like it opens and there's a border in between everything. So when it opens, there would be a border on top. So let's do border top. Nope. Still getting used to this accordion here. Okay, so the accordion panel, border top. Okay, and then the accordion item. All right, I think we're finally making it. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, so now we just need to add our padding in. Looks like we had a padding there. All right, that wasn't really doing anything, so we'll just remove it. Okay, so we want the accordion button, then that's this, to have a padding of 4. Let's see how that looks. I'm pressing all the keys today. Okay, that looks good. All right, so then I am actually going to change the description a little bit, and I'm going to add some backticks. And I'm going to add story description, and then we're going to say, this is my story description, and then we're going to space. We're going to say index. That way we can see. Let's do index plus 1. Right, so now we can see user story 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We can have multiple open to see all of them. That looks good. All right, we are going to conclude this video here. Let's take a look. Create user story drop-down component with header and body. Add user story description to the drop-down body. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create that create user story accordion, which we already have some headway on. All right, I'll see you in the next one.